So, you know, we probably have to get a hotel room. So, let me encourage you, get involved. You all need it, you all have a talent for this. And so, go get them.
It's a tea party. No one put together any kind of a list like they did in the 08 election of resolutions that we might be like-minded on.
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. There are so many wonderful places that you already probably go to check out this, that, and the other. Texas Eagle Forum or the National Eagle Forum, they usually have some wonderful resolutions.
I bet you we Texans.
Texas Right to Life, the National Right to Life, have some wonderful ones in that arena. Y'all know the good conservative sites on the internet, for instance.
We have several listed in the resources section.
That's right. Where are you, Henry? Henry's got some wonderful sites there. Probably already have some resolutions there, don't you?
Kay's put most of those together. Go to our website and click on the resources button. She's got a lot listed.
Good job, Kay.
And you can write them yourself. It's not like you have to be in legalese or any of that stuff. Just write what's on your heart.
I went to the 08 convention, and I'm from the Rivera County area.
Now you're up here.
Well, I'm here because I want to see what the Tea Party's all about and whatnot. And we had a list, and I'd encourage anybody when you go to your precinct convention to put a little thought into it and take some paperwork with you, because it's all exciting and stuff, and it's hard to do this spontaneously, but it's a little bit prepared.
We know where to stand for. We might need a little help on maybe some wording it, but some of us don't. Yeah, Linda?
This week I read the platform, did you read the platform again, just to know what all is in it?
It's
I would
a
just
big
recommend
thing.
everybody to read it, because there's a lot of good stuff in it, and then also you can see things that might need to be added.
Or improve them.
Yeah,
Or improve them.
Y'all go get them.
If there's enough interest, we will hold a special meeting and write resolutions, go through the process. We want to do a training, a precinct change training anyway. So start to think about it. We will help you walk through it. Remember, this is your tea party. Let us help you do it. We'll do whatever you want to do in whatever manner you want to do it. And we can meet, we can hold special meetings, go through resolutions or whatever.
How many would like to see that?
Can outsiders participate?
Of course.
How outsiders
As long as you don't talk.
that aren't here tonight?
Oh, sure.
Irene.
Absolutely.
Uruguay. How far out?
There's a sign-up sheet on the table back there, handwritten. Sign-up sheet for precinct convention training.
If you just think you're interested, sign up. At least that way we've got your email address. We can contact you. Whether you want to do it or not. Now, this is part of the meeting.
Randy wanted to expand a little bit on what he was talking about.
Go ahead.
Also, one of the things that we can do, if it will help you, and I think it will, is the Tea Party can have a mock precinct convention. Just like what it would be when you go to your precinct after the polls close. Do we have interest in that?
Yeah.
These are the kind of things that we're looking for. If you say we need to do it, we'll do it. So, you have spoken.
And how do we sign up to do that?
We've got a sign-up sheet at the back. And we'll put that on the agenda for the next meeting if that's what you'd like to do. You can start to do that. We've got enough people who understand the process that we can do that. Now, like we said early in the meeting, we're going to turn the tables. It's time for you to talk. We want to know what you're thinking. What kind of information do you need? Why are you here? And with that, yeah.
Keith, I'd like to mention, I'm Jack Walker, if you don't know
Hi,
me.
Jack.
As most of you in here already know, the original voting date in Texas was March the 6th, right?
Yes.
It currently got pushed back to what date?
April 3rd.
April 3rd. Now, we don't know if April 3rd is going to stand up or not. Probably not.
Probably not.
We're watching that from day to day. It was mentioned early on, the Supreme Court ruled and said the judges down in San Antonio really didn't know what the hell they were doing, so the Supreme Court kicked it back to them. So that three-court judge panel down in San Antonio, they've got to get back with the House and Senate and see if they can come to some kind of agreement so we can keep the current date, April the 3rd, which is the day the precinct convention is currently set for, April 3rd. There is a possibility, I think most of us in here know, there is a possibility that the election date will even be pushed back to June.
Or there'll be two of them.
When there could possibly be two of them. One where we elect the local county people, and then another one where we elect the others. So we need to kind of watch the paper, watch the TV. You'll see it some evening, it says, okay, a decision has finally been rendered. We're either going to set it for April 3rd and keep it there, or we're going to move part of it, all of it, to June. It's messed up in Texas.
We didn't do
Why? We
it.
didn't do it. Why? It's because of the census and redrawing all of the, we added 4 U.S. seats. And because we added 4 U.S. seats, that's why all of the things, the representatives got redrawn and whatever. So that's been the discussion now for quite some time. So that's where we stand. I know all of you running for office are on pins and needles. That's when Frank, TJ, Linda, Joe Chow. Yeah. All on pins and needles. That's when it's going to be.
Joe, you don't look anything like yourself tonight.
So I just want to throw that out. You know, we're still on pins and needles ourselves as to when our election day is going to be. Yes, sir.
I'd like to say that the Texas Republic, the Republican Party of Texas, if you go to their website, they're keeping you informed on an hourly basis. Attorney General was here with us day before yesterday. They're keeping us informed, and you can go in there and really, you don't have to read the paper, stay with that. That's what we have in our party.
What's the website again?
TexasGOP.com. TexasGOP.org. And you can keep up with it on a constant basis.
Keep in mind the Department of Justice hasn't even weighed in yet. They're messing up even further. And then, given what they've done in the past, they will probably do that.
Injustice.
Yeah.
It's got a lot going on. Okay, Larry, you're up.
Go. What are we doing? What's the title of this?
This is
Open
open forum time. We want to have this, you did real good tonight. Hour flat for what we want to cover.
All right, so we can call this open forum, or we can call it welcome to Radical Hour. And I tell you, really, I don't give a damn what the Republican Party is doing. I care what these people sitting in this room have been here for years, years and years, Bill, who care about why the Tea Party started. If you will look at where we are in America today, how many elections have you gone hoping to have a conservative person be our president? Do you think you'll get one this time? No. How many people think that we are anywhere close to being in control of our country? Take, for instance, the conversation we just had, and I appreciate it very much. But the fact that this state will not get a chance to have any meaningful, significant input into the presidential primary on the Republican side. By the time it gets east of the Mason-Dixon line, liberals, independents, rhinos, communists, whatever, will pick our candidate. Right? Yeah, whatever. But dead people, thank you. And a lot of them, offices. And we get nothing. Now, if you have Republicans, conservatives, can somebody, Bill, you probably can, but can somebody besides Bill and Frank tell me the original difference between the three branches of government and where was the judicial branch? Where was their power? Can somebody tell me that?
They were the weakest, supposedly.
And who, why were they the weakest, Jimmy?
Well, I guess they didn't like judges back then either.
Because they weren't elected.
Very good. Very good. So their power was to be what?
Very limited.
They hated them. They had been controlled by
I
judges
rest my case.
in England. They controlled property, they did favors, they built fiefdom, they stole your stuff. Now, we had representatives in this state, redistricting. According to the wishes of the majority of the party, judges said no. Does anybody know where they got their power? They got that.
They assumed
They took it.
They assumed it.
They stole it, right?
They were reacting to the
Now,
lawsuits.
who has power, TJ, over the
We do.
federal judiciary system?
We did.
But in that sense, who,
Our elected
Congress,
representatives.
do you know that Congress can absolutely design what laws they will allow the federal judicial branch to review? If you don't want them to review abortion, you say, don't vote. For instance, do you know that? Why don't we, when we have a Republican Congress and a Republican president, Senate, why don't those ever get enacted? Why is it? Because they don't have your guys. They could care less about the Constitution. This deal on the next presidential is like the last one, and it'll be like the next one. It's not about Constitution, principles, values. It's about power. If you don't believe it's about power, the only reason we're talking about precincts is because it is your only little bitty window into power. Now, can somebody tell me about the Republican platform? TJ, what does it say about abortion in the Republican platform? In Texas Republican platform.
We're opposed to abortion.
Anybody hear anything about it? Do you know that our very own state representative this year made sure that Planned Parenthood got money? Yes. Yes. Our very own Ellis County state representative made sure Planned Parenthood.
Wait a minute. Was that the one that called us anti-Semites last year?
Yes, that's the one. Yes,
Oh, okay.
yes.
Now I
You
remember
remember that guy, yeah.
You did that.
It's in our platform. Do you know that we cannot get our own state legislature to designate English as the official language of Texas? Who owns the legislature in Austin? Democrat or Republican?
Lobbyists.
But you know that we have the
Lobbyists and
very
special
first
interest
city in
groups.
America, yes, that made the official language Spanish in Texas, on the border. Our border between here and Mexico has just been rated as more dangerous than Afghanistan. We have beheaded people found, not on the border, but as far as Washington, D.C., Hollywood, and Oklahoma. Am I wrong, Bill?
Nope, you're right.
And we're not told anything about it. Where are Republicans? I don't care a damn. I care about people who will make it for years in this room. They have brought their values, and we push for Republicans. The only reason I care about Republicans, it's the only door we have. You know, the other side, really, truly, I just assume go to the zoo. Here we go. This side is the only side that we have as a door. If I'm lost in the woods, and all I find are two rocks, and one of them has some flint in it, I might start a fire. So we're working on a couple of slugs trying to make a fire. Now, on that attempt, the only thing that we can do is role play. You watch this. This is not about, it's just not about that we're going to beat the Republicans. Look, you're going to get a choice real soon. The conservative candidates we had, which would have to be Michelle Bachmann, Rick Santorum, never took off. Why not?
Santorum still has a shot.
Who?
Santorum still has a shot.
Oh, I'm not leaving that, but I'm just saying when you're down here in single digits and you got two that are non-conservatives. Now, I don't want to get an argument about that. That's not my point. My point is, if you're going to get Newt, well, if you're going to say Newt, all I can say is his favorite president, maybe of the 20th century, maybe of all American history, is FDR.
You know that FDR, if he was such a great president, do you know that we had the Great Depression in America? It is the only country on earth that had a Great Depression. No other country had a Great Depression. They had a quick recession, and in 2 years or out, we had a Great Depression. We're the only country that had, from 1929 to 1939, a Great Recession, or a Great Depression. Only America. And if FDR was such a great president, then after he died in less than a year, we passed an amendment that term limited a president because he was so popular. Think about it. He scared Americans of that time to death. And we can't get term limits on anybody else because we're not in power. So all I'm saying is I have been pushing this group. Of course, I am not the most radical. I'm just the Baptist. And I have been pushing this group in order for Tea Party. We're not, Phil and I are not 20, so we're not going to make it another 70 years. Now, Phil might, I won't. Yeah, and we have. But our problem is we have the same people. I've watched the same group. All of us push the same rock for like 3 years. I can tell you, Tea Parties across America are just worn out because you have the same people pushing the same rock. And of course, you know the
What's
definition.
taken us this long to come to the realization of what's happening?
Well, no, there's several reasons, but I'll get into that. You're right, Joyce. I'm not. What I'm asking is just a real quick discussion. It's enough out of Larry. I'm trying to say that we'll have somebody who'll be a Republican, other than they find some more girls in the closet, or we have some other, November surprise. Don't rule it out. If we get Mitt Romney, great man, but he's not a conservative. He's not a conservative. He's a good man. He's capable, no question. He is far better than the dirtbag Marxist in office currently. Well,
Tell us how you really feel, Larry.
This is another thing. Look, we all know you can't get it from the press. Don't expect it from the press. You're not going to hear it from the press. But as friends and neighbors who worry about America, and I consider this group right here probably some of the most aware, some of the people who continue to worry about America. I don't know why this room doesn't have 5,000 people. I don't know why we're not holding it at Cowboy Stadium. Does anybody believe here that our country in a really short period of time is not ultimately in danger of being a different country? Anybody here think we're not? No, this room is a lie. Our question is, going forward, we cannot push the same rock in the same manner, in the same way. Because I can tell you, Tea Parties everywhere. They have used us to flog ourselves. We did this. We didn't do that. And both Republicans and Democrats, what they've used, rather than place the blame on themselves, has said the reason we didn't raise the debt ceiling and cause chaos is the Tea Party. Were you guys, do you guys get phone calls about the debt ceiling? Any of you? I don't remember that. I don't remember John Boehner. Hello, they'll do it. I didn't get that call. I sent him a letter and say, "You're a dirtbag. What'd you do that for?" You know they're going to automatically raise the debt ceiling another 0.2. You know why? Because on the first deal, caused so much stink and they were embarrassed.
They voted for it.
They made an automatic thing that they could vote no for it. So the Republicans went, "Hey, we voted no," and automatically gave him a veto power to just raise it. They made the deal in the first. They think we're stupid. Well, I'm sort of, thank you. And I am sort of worried that maybe outside of a few of us in Ellis County, maybe we are. And maybe we have the best government money to buy, and maybe we have the best form of representation we can buy. Yeah, just a minute now. So I'm about to wrap up and then I'll turn it to the floor. Now, my problem is, all right, where do we start? And I have sort of come 180. And the 180 has to be that the only band we're going to win, you can be pretty sure we're going to fold up in places, you can be sure we'll elect people and they lie to us. So I think the only place that we can start is right here. And we're going to have to do it differently. We're going to have to come back 180 and start in this room. And I don't mean it about precincts. You know, when I couldn't tell you, I'm a grown man. And when we started this thing, I couldn't even tell you what a precinct was. I mean, I figured it was a ball field someplace. I don't know what a precinct was. And as far as a precinct chair, really, I expected a dining room table, a lamp, a lot of other things to go with that furniture. I knew no idea what those terms meant. And for most average person, they don't have a connotation. They don't stick. We call them a person in your neighborhood who represented you. I can meet that guy. I just don't know what a precinct is. So if you're talking about 20-somethings, 30-somethings, really, we're not even in their realm. So at that, given that, my argument is, and I'd just like to hear, first of all, input. I think you guys have thought about it, you have input. My argument is that we need to come back here to ground zero. And the only reason that we care about the Republican Party is it's our only vehicle. And the only reason that we move people to precinct chairs or our precinct neighborhood representative is that we can instill and control the conservative ideas here. And if we can build a model in Ellis County of we put our values here to help our people, less government. Any reason county raised taxes? Because they could. Because they could. What are you going to do? You're going to complain, have meeting, we bitch. What do? We don't own it. If I had Phil, as county commissioner, I know he's on my wavelength. I know that we would have taken, closed down something before we raised taxes. It's the only battle we can win. If you think we control the Republican Party, go read the platform. You will see everything in the state Republican platform. We're going to make our borders strong. We're going to make conservatives. We're going to put nothing. Nothing in that means anything. I went to rules meeting. I went to committee meeting. I heard people pontificate, and I heard people pass methane, all kinds of stuff. I mean, nothing meant anything except they were gas in the room. And then they got voted in, and they did nothing. And you know, you see it. All right, I'm asking. I'm just asking because my deal, and I'm arguing for these guys, what it means on the part of people who care the Tea Party, is that we don't do it ourselves. It's just that's not a winning game. We don't have enough. We're going to wear out. So we pick on focus. Like if we're going to go do precinct, then we can't go get 45 precincts, so let's pick on 10. And then call a neighbor, call a friend, call somebody in your church, and say, you know somebody in that precinct. And we find one. We find one. And he's kind of a like-minded person, or she, and God willing, thank you. And we find that, and then we do another. We don't need people here to be involved and to do it all. What we need to do is find somebody in that precinct who will care. And then we take and we pick on one school district at a time. We take and pick on Ellis, Ennis, I don't care, Ferris. We don't do it. Call your friends, call your neighbors, call somebody and say, look, do you have parents or grandparents or kids? Just focus on pieces and we nudge. Anybody ever read the book Nudge by Cat Sunstein? Great radical who's writing stifling regulation of Washington for Obama. You should really read it. It tells you where we're headed. It's Cat Sunstein. It's called Nudge, and it is the method being used today to shut this country down through regulation. It's the frog in the water, turn up the heat. That has been for 50, 60 years. And so what I'm asking is, first of all, because I think, are there any, I don't want us to have, there are so few of us, and I know over the years that we've had some differences because these people here have opinions you think, you want to be active. The question is, do you, any better ideas, how would you tackle it? If we can only win Ellis County, and this is the bastion of freedom. Freedom and liberty have started in smaller squares than Ellis County. So if we're not going to have any kind of impact on a national scale, let's win this county. And if we win this county, then we can kind of be like a good Ebola virus. We can like affect the next county and the next county. But if somebody doesn't, I can just tell you, I have friends everywhere, and people attend teas. I'll tell you what's happening all across America is tea parties are dying out. Because we got together, because we were concerned. But like any ball game, if you don't have a set of goalposts, you don't know if you're winning the game or not. We're kind of doing that game with kids where everybody got a trophy for showing up. Now, we kind of get trophies for coming to this. The question is, what is our goal? Where are the goal lines? Where are the fence posts? What are we going to do? And if we're not big enough to be a 4A school, then let's field 5 guys and play 5-man, 7-man football and just do one. But it isn't up to any one person. If we want to find somebody who cares about precinct, we'll just do 2 precincts and find somebody and 2 more. Why do we want to take over, assimilate? What is a nice word? You ever watch Star Trek, the boards? Why do we want to assimilate the Republican Party? It's our only tool.
They're welcome home anytime.
Yes, perfectly. I mean, it's our only tool. And this is about power. And it is about assuming power. And I can guarantee you, if Michelle Bachmann, who was, you remember, the only person that started the Tea Party in the House of Representatives, she was the Tea Party. She didn't get the time of day from the Tea Party. Now really, where were we? Well, we didn't think she could win. Didn't win. Are we or are we not? And I'm not saying I'm a shining example, I'm just throwing up an example. Do we have a person running for president, regardless of his other attributes and skills, who is a louse in his character? Since when is it that character doesn't matter? Is it I'm willing to forgive almost a lot of things in your character flaws because you're going to go bitch slap a president that I'd love to see whacked up on the stage? I mean, really, truly, is that worth it to me? Or do I want to take and put a person that doesn't have that really glaring bad flaw? Well, I'm not saying the guy on the other stage who just about take any position I want today in a nice manner, good argument, good presentation. Do I want to just kind of take chameleon because I think he can do it? We're not going for values. So we're not going for values. That means the Tea Party is not winning. And if the Tea Party isn't winning, it needs a rebirth. And I suggest we do it right here. Now, I'm open. I'm open to any ideas. It's kind of a real quick forum because I know we're running late. Or you can even leave when you're here. I'll stay afterwards. I'll give you my email. We can chat. I don't do Facebook. I don't do MySpace, my butt. I don't do LinkedIn. I don't have time, and I can't find it. So I'll be glad to email and correspond. But I would like to have. Do you think that is on Nelson? Please.
You're doing fine. I'm not waiting for you to run down. I just had something very quick to say when you get there.
Please.
Now, I think there's an underlying question we have to ask, which is, why is it that officials that we elect don't follow the rules and the preferences that we fight over to get in the party platform? Every line of that platform was voted on by people like you that are sitting here. The majority of the party says, let's do that, and there's a heck of a lot of Tea Party people in the GOP in Texas.
Because they know there's no downside. There's no consequence.
Right.
Because we abandoned
Right.
our
We
principles
We
when
don't,
we elected
we
them.
elect them and we think we're done. We don't
Yeah.
hold their feet. to
Can
the fire.
anybody touch their chest like this? You know, you are now pointing at the person who's in charge. Because what we have done is convince the people that get elected that we're not going to follow up, even at the county level. I mean, it took 3 or 4 meetings to get enough people in the GOP party that are precinct chairs to show up and have enough people to censure the county commissioners who raised taxes in the middle of a financial problem. We have convinced, by not showing up personally, our elected officials that we don't care after the election. So the solution is to care, to get out there, to talk to them, make sure they know what you want.
And the farther we get
There's just
away
one
from.
thing. You spoke of the county. We need to speak of even down lower than that to the cities. Ennis is a good example of what you cannot do anything in Ennis. Just pure simple. These people have been doing whatever they wanted to do in a way in which they wanted. They've kept out, to my understanding, Home Depot. They kept out a lot of businesses that Ennis was supposed to have. They said, everybody stood up and said, we won't smoke it here. Okay, But what did they vote? Nope, can't have smoke in here. I mean, this is, and they've been in office for year after year after year. And nobody's done anything to them.
Larry?
I can stand up for Ennis County, we've lived there for years, you are allowed to bloviate and expectorate. You have to blow each one.
As long as you've got Victorian lights.
Mrs. Getson-Daner.
Victorian lights.
Oh, okay.
Joyce, please.
You just made me forget, lose my train of thought. I was trying to figure out what Victorian lights were. The farther we get from the Constitution, the less power we have. While we had the maximum power under the Constitution, we didn't use it. And now that we're losing our power, we're losing our Constitution, pretty soon it won't matter what you think, because they'll be telling us what we can and can't do. And so this is the big fear. And the role of a free press in a democratic society is vital. And I think we need to go after the propagandists that are posing as journalists. I mean, I think we need to start there.
Larry.
Mindy?
Yes, please.
Well, one thing I think we ought to do, which I think is very simple, is we as a party ought to become known as a lightning rod. You watch out for the Ellis County Tea
agree.
Party. That is our representatives monthly or however necessary.
Yes.
And have a committee that does the letters and then gets approval of the
Yes.
council. Now, we ought to start that immediately.
Yes, and the reason that you do that, it's a great point. I've thought about that often, and it's a great point. And the reason is, have you ever noticed, and I know most of you aren't that bold, and really it's only because I don't mind being called a loser, so I can say what I want to. It doesn't bother me, I'm not embarrassed. People want to judge you all the time. But you have a right to express your opinion. And what I'm saying is exactly sort of what Ms. Getson just said. It's a wonderful thought. But if you notice during this election, what happened when we had a guy named Donald Trump who stood up and he pointed to the president like, where is your birth certificate? Now, anyone else would be called a birther. You'd be pounded in the ground as a nut job. And the fact is, we had a president of the United States who wasn't even vetted as well as the butlers who served his food or the maids who opened the door. Yeah, can you tell me, can anybody in here tell me the name of any of Barack Obama's old girlfriends?
No.
Yeah. Could any of you tell me in here, can you give me a name of one of his best schoolboy teachers?
Nobody.
Or friend? Do you know that you can't get a job as a butler in the White House if you don't pass full CIA clearance? And we have a guy who has control of our nuclear arsenal, by the way, giving it away. And could not push, could not get in, couldn't push the food. He's our president. Why don't we hear this? Why don't we just, well, what she's saying is that we like Donald Trump because he got up and said what you thought, but you were afraid to say or didn't have a platform. And he asked, and we went, yes, he'll be president. Oh my gosh, can you imagine Donald Trump president? You know, we'd have a White House Trump. You know, what was it? Everything is Trump. It would be the Southern Trump towers, whatever. The White House Trump towers, whatever. But none of his personal, but we liked the fact that he was a lightning rod. He said things. It is time as somebody, as a group, we just spoke the truth. Yes, Harvey.
Somebody mentioned the media a while ago. I forgot to mention earlier. Bill and I went as well as.
And I was there with you.
Gary, you were? We went to Arlington at Jay Gilliam's or whatever it was with Zach Maxwell, who spoke to our group at one time, has started the Arlington Voice, and I don't know the website, but you can Google the Arlington Voice. It is an online newspaper that they are putting together to push real, honest news and bypass some of the garbage that the mainstream media is.
Is that the one Mel Moss is involved in?
Exactly.
But part of the problem,
Well, actually, Zach is
Exactly.
Zach is the owner of that.
Right. Mel has been helping promote
Moss
it.
is with the Lone Star Tea Party.
but part of the problem is, and this is what I have a hard time with, when I can't come up with an answer, and I don't think that anybody here can, it's because we don't study Saul Alinsky, we don't do the community organizing. They figured this out 7 years ago. We already had 7 things come up that will distract you from what? Precinct chair. 7 things already. We have city council, we have a voice, we have, and we can only win a couple of things by focus. It doesn't mean we can't raise a voice, and it doesn't mean, but what we need is a system, and I would appreciate any ideas. What we need is a system, how we can take a group like this that's willing to do something, and how we can work on just a couple of things. That we can give ourselves a yellow flag. Like when your kids are ran track, somebody gets to run through the yellow flag. How can we set goals that we can look at ourselves a year from today and we have in fact changed something, we have affected change, we have saved this part. Huh?
We do not have a year.
You got, I didn't say a year, but if you're looking.
We have to act now.
Well, I understand.
364
I understand, but look, I couldn't agree with that more.
By the
But
time
you
that
still have to
convention
start.
happens, we already
with
have
something.
to be doing things.
Yes. Well, okay, how would you do it?
I have an idea.
Yes.
Hey, can we like stand up, stretch our legs, and
Please.
Well, I was gonna say, and split up into geographical areas.
Well, yeah, you could, but look, I just
Just for
think.
basic,
You
you know.
could, but we've done that before, and I don't think that works. I want to focus, and I'm just saying, I think focus on something really narrow that you can affect.
Well, also, I mean, you know, just find out who's in your area.
Yes.
And figure out how you can, yeah.
I
that's
think
what
you
I'm
could, or we
saying,
could get together some, I don't know. Anybody else have any ideas? I want to keep you all there. I want you to think. Bill, yes.
Yeah, I read the constitutional thanking article for the Ellis County
You
Press.
certainly do.
Got the, but I would say, no matter what you read in there, I'm a full supporter of the Tea Party. I'm an independent like you, and I don't care whether it's Republican. I've been Republican most of my life. From being president of College Young Republicans on. I am an independent now. I realize, like you say, the Republican Party is the only horse we got to ride at the present time. So that's fine. I brought a history article that I'm going to give you, and if it on the way out, if you'd like to contribute toward the printing of it, stick 50 cents or $1 in the cup back here on the table. But it's on the history of the presidents from Franklin Roosevelt to that. It's got a couple other articles. It's got an article about the Tea Parties, which will help you understand why the Tea Parties aren't doing better than they are. But I don't want anybody to feel I'm against the Tea Party.
No,
I'm not
we'll
for them.
take that. I think we should
I'm
analyze
100%. I want the Tea Party to be 10 times bigger than it is.
You bet.
And I want it to be even more conservative than it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, take a look at that as you go along. And I just want you to understand that. And I hope everybody recruits more people to come to the meetings.
Yeah, okay. Thanks very much. Look, I'll be in the back. I'll give you an email if you work on it, if you think about it, if you have friends. We just need to combine the few people we have and focus on a couple things and achieve a real thing. It doesn't mean we don't work on the Republican Party, but some things we can change. Thank you all very much, and God bless you for coming.
Okay, to wrap it up, a couple quick things. Number one, let's fill up this twice again. We need more people. We have a sign-up sheet, again, because obviously we don't have all your email addresses. We don't send out spam once a week, like I said before, and any announcements we got, so sign up.
This email address that you're going to give is probably the same one, but we're going to contact you individually for this precinct change. It's not going to go out on the Ellis County Tea Party email. Remember, if you want to hold your precinct convention, because you don't know if your precinct chair is going to be there or not, you can do that. Put yourself here. You just want to know about it. Even if you're not sure, you're just thinking about it. Like you're even just like 2% sure, please put your name and email on here.
So we need your email addresses anyway. Next meeting, we're assuming you would like some more in-depth precinct training.
Yes.
Discussion, correct?
Yes.
What else?
I'd like to address where we are compared to where we should be with the Constitution. I'm really concerned. You know, you guys talked about Santorum and Michelle Bachman and a lot of the things they stand for from what I've seen, and I'm pretty new at this myself. Sure. don't relate to the Constitution.
We've had an offer from several parties for constitutional training. It's a 10 week, 1 hour a week. We can do that. It have to be separate. We try to keep these meetings about an hour and a half on a Saturday night.
Depending on the size of the group, Linda and I will have that at our house. Whenever we get a group big enough that wants to start, and we're thinking 5 to 10 people.
Is that something that will be coming through your normal email channels?
Yeah, we'll do it through email.
Being from Navarro County, I don't want to.
That's why we need all your email addresses and things like that. We can also hold it as part of our normal meeting. If we just put it off a little bit, we can break an hour out, or either early or later, to do the constitutional training. These are the kind of things we need to know and want to know. What are your priorities?
This constitutional study is a 10-week mission, so I mean,
It doesn't have to be done by the election. I mean, we can start second or third quarter.
So you can always just go to hillcollege.org and take the class of the Constitution there. I've taken it, and I'll tell you, it's Hillsdale College.
If anybody wants a class on the Constitution, go to Michael Bagnera, who was the president. He ran the presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party. And I'm not endorsing the Libertarian Party, but he is a great thinker on the Constitution. He's got a free class you can take on his website.
So you can do it that way, we can do it here. We just need to know what you like to do. I'm thinking we need an editorial board for this group to make sure we're getting into the different papers with our point of view. Too many people don't hear what we think and how we think on a very regular basis. They think we're all nuts. Yeah.
One of the things that
And then you call on
for
Jimmy.
sure we need to do. One of the things for sure that we need to do is we need to force a runoff. I'm talking what's probably going to happen. We need to have a runoff for our state representative. Representative Pitts has two opponents. They're both here tonight.
Yay.
Linda, TJ. Now, they're out there working hard, both of them. Now, we need to get enough votes to those two people that it will force a runoff. Now, if Mr. Pitts gets in a runoff with either one of them, Linda or TJ, he may be in trouble.
That's right.
So, that means we need to get out there and support whichever the one of the two that we like the best. Get some signs from them. Get some of their literature, pass it out.
They need a $5 or $10 bill. Or $100.
Some money, that's right. Now Frank Kuchar, right here, he hasn't hardly missed a meeting. He's running against Joe Barton, who's been in for 28 years now. I guess if Joe was here tonight, I would want to ask him, Joe, what is it these 2 more years you're going to be running for? Is it that you want to do that you haven't been able to do in the former 28 years?
Probably buy another car.
But we got a good guy here, and he's a constitutional expert.
Hold on just a second. Absolutely. That was not a very nice thing to do because we're here because
Joe
Joe's
Chow.
at another event. Okay?
Joe Chow, too.
I'll ask you the question then.
Well, what he's going to do is.
He's talking about Joe Martin.
Joe Barton. I thought you were talking about Joe Chow.
No.
Because he's not running just. Oops.
But we got Joe Chow running for that.
One more question. I just want to point the same thing though. I mean, we've got Frank Kuchar and we've got Joe Chow running against Joe Barton. And so let's force a runoff there and we'll pick the best guys.
Okay, yeah.
And then you have
Yeah, maybe
I'd like to take a moment to introduce myself. I'm Boyce Watley, and I'm running against Heath Sims in Precinct 3. So,
What is your position are you running for?
I'm running for Precinct 3 County Commissioner.
County Commissioner.
And I tell you, it's a real problem with the fact that we can't even get our constituencies from the voting office. Even if we have an April 3rd election, they're telling us the soonest that I can get my voting list is mid-February. And I tell you, having run 5 campaigns in the past, and I'm the former mayor of Midlothian, it is very tough on a candidate to have all of this up in the air right now. So, you know, as much as y'all want to stay abreast of it, obviously, it's important to all of our candidacies, and if you're not involved in a candidacy, whether it's at the state or the national level or the local level, it's a good place to get, because we're all going to need your help.
What's your name again?
Boyce Watley.
And I'm Jim Farr. I'm running for constable in Precinct 1, which is pretty much the east side of the county. The incumbent has been Frack. However, there's 5 people running for that office, so there will be a runoff. But I've started attending the Tea Party, and I really believe in the conservative stance of the Tea Party, and I appreciate your vote if you live on the east side.
Yeah. Do we have any other candidates in here tonight?
My name's Michael DeLaura. I'm running for Constable Precinct 4 against Mike Jones over in the Midlothian area. A lot of the Tea Party meetings, I like what I hear. You got my support.
And I want to tell every one of y'all that when you get in, if you get in, we're going to hold your feet to the fire. I guarantee it.
Make sure my fire's real hot. Anybody else? Frank, want to make a quick statement? Anybody want to make a quick statement? That's running. TJ, anybody? Introduce yourself.
I'm TJ Fabby. I'm a 30-year-old small business owner, lifelong resident of Ellis County. I grew up in Red Oak, live in Waxahachie now. I'm a lifelong conservative and one of the founding members of the Ellis County Tea Party movement. And I'm running because I'm scared to death what this country is going to look like when my kids are my age. And I saw somebody who needed an opponent, and so I gave him an opponent.
I'm Linda Bounce, and I'm also running for representative for House District 10, state representative, House District 10. And the reason I'm stepping up is because the direction of our country is going in the wrong direction, and we need regular people to step up and get involved. There are several things that I would like to accomplish, but one of them is bring our government back to the constitutional boundaries. I have worked for Bank of America for 17 years. I quit my job recently to try to get more involved, and I'm out meeting the people of the district, and I would love to hear from you and discuss about your concerns. Love your vote.
We will be having a formal candidate forum, so you really give them more time. But these are the kind of environments we, after the meetings, before they can get them introduced, so you can walk up to them and ask them questions. Okay, appreciate it.
You're going to go give the other two?
Yeah, if they want to.
I'll let Lisa first.
No, Richard's going to.
Well, I'll introduce Joe Chow. He couldn't be here tonight at another meeting right now. I met Joe in August because he was the hardest working candidate in Dallas County. He's been at probably a dozen meetings per week at least that I've seen him at. We've got other teams at different meetings. He's been working hard. The thing I like about Joe, though, is that he spent the last 25 years in the private sector. He runs a small business, a restaurant, has been wildly successful. He invented Sesame Chicken, has good ratings from all over. People like his food and quality. But what I like about him is that business experience is he understands how to balance a budget. And we need some of that in Washington right now. He's been a strong conservative. He was mayor of Addison for 6 years, where he cut taxes twice. So he doesn't just talk about it, he actually does it. But everybody who knows Joe, everybody who's spent any time with him, knows that Joe's somebody they can trust. He'll do the right thing. He actually cares. He's not just a politician. And so I really believe that Joe is the right guy for the position. So that's why I've been helping him for the last 4 months.
I'll keep this short for this late, folks. But I've known most of you for just about a year now. And I decided to run because as a 59-year-old grandfather, I decided that my grandchildren deserve a future, and they don't have one right now. We need somebody who understands business, understands how things work. I've spent a number of years reading not just the Constitution, but our founders, writings of our founders. I've read over 50 books and written over 400 pages on constitutional issues on a blog site. And just to give you an idea of how frustrating things are, I have 7 professional certifications in payroll, human resources, compensation, and benefits. I spent all morning at work trying to get my 940 annual tax return straightened out. I am a supervisor of a payroll department of an international law firm headquartered in Dallas. The reason why it wasn't balancing, because some knuckleheads in Washington who have never run a payroll, never completed a quarterly 941, never completed an annual 940, don't have a clue as to how to make it work, decided on June 31st, or really July 1st, to change the feuded tax rate by 0.2%. They went from 0.8 to 0.6, and it is royally screwed up because they don't have a clue because they never run business. I've been a small businessman, and I'm in the professional world of dealing with taxes and things like this, and I know how screwed up things are and what needs to be done. That is replace our tax system completely.
And first quarter to 2012 is gonna be the same.
Oh, I don't even want to think. Let's talk about Mr. Barton was in favor. No, he did not vote. He voted nothing on this extending the payroll tax thing for 2 months.
Present.
No, you didn't vote present. You wasn't even there.
Wasn't there.
2 months, you're going to have one set of tax rates for the employer and the employee, which is 2 different rates. Then in the third month, everything's going to be the same, and now you got to reconcile that. I know. You folks, unless you're in payroll, you don't understand.
Exactly.
But I can guarantee you, nobody in the payroll profession is looking forward to this first quarter's 941 return.
That's right.
We have to get people in there that understand business, that understand what it is like to be in the real world. And I understand that because while 28 years Joe's been in the confined to the District of Columbia, like you all, I've been out here in the real world, learning the business, working for a living, supporting my family. And I said I'd be short, and I wasn't. But I started out as a preacher, so you understand. So have a great day tomorrow.
With that, thank you. Great meeting. Look forward to seeing you.